We come back to you again. This is Euroforum. Moses Wisha is my name. It is a Sunday, 30th of July. We are almost coming to the end of the month. It's been a month with so much that has happened. Right from the European tournament, we've had a couple of shows, particularly about immigrants or Africans or people living in the diaspora. We want to greet you all and thank you so much for always sparing time to watch Euroforum, engaging and dropping your feedbacks. Today we are delighted to have a guest from Preston in England, and he's a doctor, Dr. Robert Lutaya. We've hosted him here once, where he spoke about anxiety triggers among immigrants. It was a very wonderful show where we got a couple of nuggets of knowledge and insights where many had a lot of take-homes. We come back with him again to speak about something in the same line, but this time round, it's getting a little broader. He's come to create or share insights where we shall have awareness about mental health illnesses. We know that mental health is a disorder, there are illnesses which some people regard as killing you softly. That people, we are often sick, we are often ill, but because of a lack of information or ignorance, for lack of a better word, we often unaware of that. Dr. Altaya is a gentleman with several courts, and among those is an expert in psychiatry and gynecology. He has studied in Poland and in London, where he has acquired a lot of knowledge and experience. He has worked in this field of health for so many years. So as we speak, as he shares on this, I hope we shall feel that he's in the right position to speak about mental health. That aside, we want to invite you, everyone out there, Ugandan, a friend of Ugandan, to invite a friend to be part of this show. As we all know, there is so much to learn always. It will be an English show, as much as we often have Luganda shows. Behind camera, I have with me Gibson, who is doing the technical part. And of course, there are so many who are yet to watch and follow on social media, Facebook and YouTube. Without further ado, I want to invite you, Sebo, Dr. Altaya, or Jobuze Kubantu. Please greet our viewers.
Good evening or good afternoon, my listeners, our audience, wherever you are. I am privileged to be here to talk about mental illness. I've worked in this area for quite a while, and I want to share my experiences with you. As my brother Moses has introduced me, I've worked into specialties. One is obs and gynae and now psychiatry. So I kind of have some knowledge which could help us as people who've come to these countries to kind of survive and manage to live with them if we can follow the advices I'm going to try to give. So yeah, that's me in a nutshell. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you so much, Dr. Altaya. I remember last time you kept on encouraging me to call you by your name flatly. But I also remember I reminded you that, yes, you know, the Ugandan in us always reminds us of these titles. But I'll try as much as I can. To you who didn't watch our previous show, we had a lot about anxiety triggers. And guided by Dr. Altaya, even before the show, we focused on immigrants, where he has felt the passion and the drive to encourage, inspire, and of course, create awareness about the extent of triggers that are surround us, that are within our surroundings. Many of them are unavoidable, but as well, there are those where we feel we should be having control. I kind of, yeah, I seem to have lost Dr. Altaya. Perhaps there is a technical error somewhere, but hopefully it's coming back. But as we wait on, we had a very wonderful show where there was a lot to echo back from the so many experiences he has probably personally had. People shared on Facebook in the comment section where we had a great interaction. Yes, as we dived into this program, we all know that immigration, by the mere mention of the word immigration, it comes with an additional word, challenge. Oh, he's coming. Yes, Sebo, are you there? Okay.
Yes, I don't know whether it was from my side or something, but it just froze. I couldn't hear you anymore.
Oh, we are dealing with technology. Stuff happens. Yes, but good enough. You're back. Yes. In absentia, I was further pulling up echoes from our previous show, mentioning that there was so much about anxiety triggers. Today, we want to take it a step ahead, where we want to look at the broader picture of mental illnesses. We often feel about certain issues that we know them, we have control, but little do we realize that we know after an expert or someone who has experienced or gone through it tells the story in depth. The mere mention of the word immigration comes with an additional term, problem or challenge. We've had different walks of lives. We've had different experiences in life. As immigrants, the very common experience we have a challenge is starting from scratch. Scratch may be an abstract term. It may be in terms of money, network, family, experiences, but the bottom line is there is always something very challenging when it comes to picking up the broken pieces. So along the way, when we have to pick up education again, where we have to build afresh networks, there are hurdles here and there, and those cause mental illnesses in a way or the other. But okay, we believe there will be a lot that will be broken in pieces by Dr. Altaya. We request that you watching us, in case of any inconsistencies in our sound, please feel comfortable to drop a message. And also invite a friend as we dive through this program. Several Dr. Altaya. Okay, we seem to be encountering a network challenge here. Hello, doctor. Okay. Okay. Yes. When Akutem line, Akutem wire, please save us and don't disconnect or interfere with the doctor's network. We hope he's coming back very soon. Doctor, are you there?
I'm here. I think it's my network. It's completely, for the first time, I don't know what's going on.
Okay. Also, it indicates here that your network is kind of weak. But in case it continues this way, we could opt for turning off the video and we maintain the audio for the first bit.
All right. Okay.
But okay, let's try to juggle through with the video on. If it fails, then we can just switch to only the audio.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much again for that introduction. Sorry for the network problems. Yeah, but yeah, last time we had a good chat about triggers and how we end up in problems with mental health when we arrive in these countries and how to deal with them. We touched a few things there, but obviously you can't finish the whole spectrum of problems which affect us when we are here.
Yeah, sure.
But today I just wanted to share with you some scenarios or patients' experiences I had while working, and maybe one or two of you could relate to this and see whether we can help our brothers and sisters. When all of us, that when we come from back home, mental health is something which is not really regarded as an issue. When you go back home, people think of witchcraft and kuloga, things like that. They don't really think that somebody can have what we call a disorder which could affect his life. So when we come here, we tend to struggle on our own because we believe there's no such like a disorder. So you find people in denial of serious mental health issues while they're here, and they struggle because of that, because they don't get help. And in my time, I met a number of foreign, patients here who could have been helped far much earlier, but because of their denial, not only denial, but the knowledge they had about mental health, they couldn't accept what they were going through. And I'll give you three scenarios. One of them is I had a young lady who was suffering because she had gone everywhere and she couldn't get help. So she came to me to talk to me about what she had gone through. Basically, she couldn't move her left leg and her right hand. It was paralyzed. So left leg paralyzed and right hand paralyzed. And when she went to the GP was concerned, of course, a young lady coming, and sent her to hospital. While in hospital, they did all the tests. They did the CT scans and blood results and all that. And they couldn't find the cause of her paralysis. Couldn't find any lesions in her brain or tumors or any stroke, whatever, which could have caused this kind of phenomenon. And the other thing which was quite disturbing was that she was paralyzed on both sides. So it's very hard to find someone paralyzed on the left leg and then on the right hand. Normally when you're paralyzed on one side. So if it's the left, it's the whole arm and hand, okay? So this lady come down to me and says, look, these people can't find what's wrong with me. Can you try at least talk to them? They have sent me to a psychiatrist. I don't believe I have mental illness. There's something wrong with them. So I sit down and ask her, could you give me all the results of the investigation? I looked at all the CT scans and blood results and everything, and truly, you couldn't find anything. So I told her, look, tell me when this thing happened. When did it start happening? Then she told me like 1 month ago, I couldn't walk on my leg. And then when I tried to lift my hand with something, to lift a cup of tea with my hand, it just fell off. I don't have any grip in my hand. It's so weak. And I said, is it weak or you can't even move it? She said, I literally can't move it. I'm now using a wheelchair to move around. So I told her, look, I've checked the CT scan and I don't see anything. That's true. She said, no, you have not checked well, check again. So I said, I've checked, yeah, I've checked again and again, and there's nothing there. So let me tell you what is happening. Let me tell you how the body acts. When you get a stroke or anything, wherever the affected area is, it's on the left side of the brain. Then the affected area will be on the right side of your body. So it will be the whole of your right side. So you can't have part of your left paralyzed and part of your right paralyzed, you know. It has to be on one side. I said, okay, but I can't walk. That's the fact. I said, yes, you can't walk. So I asked her, tell me about your life. What happened before paralysis? And she told me, well, like a week before, I'd lost my husband. I said, okay. Sad to hear. And how did your husband? So I don't want to go through the history of how the husband died, but it was very traumatic for her. And then after 1 week, I think, was it before the burial, after the burial, she got paralyzed. And since then, she's never walked again. So I tell her, look, there is what we call dissociative disorder in psychiatry, whereby because of the trauma you've gone through, the brain is trying to cope with it and will generate a physical illness, which would lead even to paralysis. And so that's not possible. So yes, the brain is so strong, it can do that. We've seen patients here who become blind all of a sudden. The patient is blind after going through a traumatic incident, and you need to know that these things happen. And she said, no, it can't be. So to cut the story short, I tried to go through all the knowledge I had to help her. Look, we can get you into some kind of talking therapy and things like that to get you out of this situation. She refused. Actually, she was so angry with me and stopped taking my phone calls. I said, okay, but I kept track of her to see what she was doing. And she went to different people. I think I remember she went to religious people to pray for her. She went to some, what do we call them at home? Abasabaganda. So how do we call them at home?
Traditional healers?
Yes, traditional healers.
Okay.
So she went traditional healers and nothing. For I think 2 years, she was in a wheelchair and she couldn't get any. And I told her that, look, this thing, it will stick with you as long as you don't get some resolution to it in your mind, okay? But with time, it might go because you are starting to process the whole loss, you know, with time. So that's what happened after, I think, a period of 2 years, moving up and down everywhere, looking for help and all that. One day she woke up and she could walk, you know. She could walk out of the blue. Now, in medicine, there's nothing like that. For someone to be paralyzed and then one day they just walk. No. If you are paralyzed, you have to go through physio to get your walking back, and it takes months and months and months to do that. And this is the power of the brain. some of us, if we go through serious traumatic experiences, like losing someone very close, or even going through an accident or things like that, you can become blind all of a sudden. They will do tests on you and find nothing wrong with you, and they'll come to you. It's important to listen to what the doctors are telling you. If they've examined everything and they can't find a solution, and can't find the cause, then there is what we call dissociative disorder, whereby it's called otherwise the other name is called conversion disorder, whereby the trauma you're going through is converted into a physical illness, and it will appear as a physical illness. But in reality, it is not. And there are things out there to help you, like talking therapies, whereby you go through the whole, your understanding of the loss and what has done to you and how you see the future and all that. By doing that, you're actually processing the loss, and the brain is in a way working its way back to its normal functioning, and it could help you recover quickly and get back your functionality. So that is one of the incidences I wanted to talk to. I don't know whether I should stop here and we have a chat around it, or I continue to another scenario.
Yeah. I appreciate the fact that we engage both our viewers on Facebook and also between us. First, I want to thank you for your very technical build-up of a scenario. I mean, the way you bring it up, someone, of course, is kept wanting to listen the more and very eager, of course, to know where it all ends. Yes, what I understand here is that we often encountered with denial. And maybe there are also those fixations about what we believe about illnesses. And also this also reminds me of a certain illusionary standard we hold in Uganda, where we are trained, we are nurtured as men to always wear this strong face, even when things are not going on well. So I understand that here, it was actually a very new term to me, dissociative disorder. So if I may ask, Doctor,
yeah,
speaking to an immigrant, there are, of course, cases where we get counseling services, where we seek to get guidance on a couple of cases. But let's take a case of someone in the category of this girl here, who actually had hoped to pick up a thread of how they used to do things back home. But here, you're in a foreign country, and things are totally different. But again, using a case of Norway here, where I live, where the system takes its time. Of course, people are very professional. What they're doing is right. But unfortunately, we are not used to that. And that patience to wait or to conform to the system. Oftentimes, people are told to go back, drink water, go take a rest, just wait. And sometimes appointments take too long for you to come to a doctor. But again, there is this mental illness. I may not know that it's mental illness at that time. From your technical perspective, it's one that can result in a dissociated disorder. How would you guide a Mugisha somewhere who is held in between our rush, where you can even do self-medication back home in Uganda? You can call your doctor very fast, but here things don't run that way. How would you advise me?
Actually, this lady I'm talking about is living in the UK. He's not living in Uganda. So I brought in Uganda because he went everywhere.
No, actually, I also meant we immigrants who are already living here, that
Yeah.
we have our mindset. There is a way the system trained us that it's in a split of a second that you meet a doctor. But
Yeah.
sometimes things don't happen in the rush
No.
here in these countries.
Yeah. So yeah, things in this country, especially if you're not in hospital, they won't happen in a rush, because the appointments, there's a waiting list, and the doctors are not many, so it takes a while to see someone. In case of, if I'm going back to this particular lady, she was lucky because she was in hospital with all the support and all the service ready for her to help her. So they were referring to people directly coming, to talk to her, and she was declining. However, if you are an outpatient, you go to your GP and they tell you, look, this is what's going to happen. We are going to refer you to a mental health. That you have to accept will take a longer time. If something is not urgent in this country, it will never go any faster than that.
Yeah.
You have just to accept it. That's the way things happen. But the good thing about it is something is being done. It's not just, pushed under the carpet and left you to suffer on your own. They still acknowledge that your symptoms are real. Yeah, they're real because they're real. People are not walking. People are not seeing. Some people can't talk. They lose speech completely, especially around deaths of people. They can lose speech. But as Moses was saying, you have to learn to be patient and hang in there. If something like this happens, it's hard to believe that it's not organic. By organic, I mean it's not physical. It's not in your mind. Some people they think I'm mad. It's not about madness. It's about understanding that the brain is so strong and can actually cause these problems. So patience is very important. However, having said that, there are cases where you actually need to be looked at, and the doctor who is seeing you is actually not being very, very thorough with what they're doing, and they decide to just put you off and say, okay, you come back. Oh, that's not serious. Just go and take paracetamol. They tend to do that. Yeah. So in cases like that, obviously, you have to weigh and see, is this a major illness I'm having, or is it something I can cope with? Okay. I'll give you an example. If you have an acute abdomen and maybe you have appendicitis, I think some of us know what it is, the inflammation of the in our abdomen. Most of us have had it in the past, you won't be able to sit down, frankly speaking, if someone tells you like, oh, go back home and wait on him, because it's an emergency. You have high temperature, you have a lot of pain. So you eventually end up pushing to go to places like A&E or having an ambulance. Yes, you can do that. But if it is, or if it's a child and you see the child is having high temperature and all that, yeah, go ahead and push for, other things, to get help if the doctor is not helpful. I can give you an example. When I was, our child, our baby was not well, like 6 months ago. And we go to the doctor and the doctor just gives them paracetamol. And I feel there's something more to it. So I go to A&E and tell them, look, I think there's something more to my child than just high temperature. Probably we had just come back from Uganda, so I was thinking it's malaria or something, and I was terrified when the doctor gave him paracetamol alone. So we ended up on the ward. They did the full tests, and they found out that he didn't have malaria, but he had some other infection, which was treated and we left. So, yeah. To answer the question, I hope I've answered the question.
Yes, you have.
Yeah.
Yes, you have. And yes, to you who has just joined in, we're having a talk about mental illnesses. Dr. Otaya, a Ugandan living in Preston, UK, is our guest today. We've had him here before, where he shared about anxieties, their triggers, and how to work around them. Today, it's an open discussion. Greetings to you, Jeremy Danduka. Yes, he drops a comment thanking us for the topic. And also greetings to you, Sweetie Baby. She's also one of the Euroform viewers, regular Euroform viewers living in Sweden. And see, she has tagged a couple of friends here. Thumbs up to you, Sweetie Baby. And to the rest, I may not have seen here. I want to thank you for tuning in. Remember to invite a friend to join in for this talk about mental illnesses. Doctor, you somewhere said when I asked about what I should do in case the queue is long, the waiting time is far beyond my patience. You said that in case it's a major illness, I should assess or evaluate and push further for an appointment. But in my layman's understanding, with my ignorance about mental illnesses, how do I judge that this is major or minor? Guide me on that.
Okay. So some mental illnesses are very, very serious, and they're called major disorders, like psychosis, severe depression, and some other disorders which are really, really serious. When you have such illnesses, sometimes you don't even have the insight of seeking for help, because your mind is completely taken over by the illness. So in terms of mental health, it's a bit different. If you're talking about physical health, then yes, you can judge, you can look and say, oh, I think I'm in serious physical problem. I need to do something. However, when you, for example, I'll give you an example of severe depression. If you're severely depressed, your mood is low, your motivation is low, your energy is low. You see the world completely dark. You see no future. All you think of is not to be here. How would you have the energy to pick a phone and even call anyone? You see, that is the extreme. If you are in those extreme, severe mental disorders, you won't be able to survive. You'll be found by other people. Other people will help you. So some of them end up trying to overdose and commit suicide. Then they are found and resuscitated and all that. And that's how they get the help. The psychotic ones are just all over the place, completely, doing outrageous things without their knowledge. And that's how either the police picks them up and takes them in on sections and all that. But if you are like in this state, this lady, she's in, she still functions mentally, and she can weigh now that I can wait with this appointment. If you are, for example, suffering from anxiety, but you can manage with your anxiety, you can still do things at home, and then that is an indication that you can wait. But if you can't sleep, you can't eat, you can't sit down, settle down, you're restless, that is an indication that you've gone beyond what can I call it, the barrier, and you're now in a state which needs help, immediate help. If you can identify that yourself in your mind, then you can call what we call crisis team. There are telephone numbers for crisis team. Crisis teams are everywhere in all countries. You just call them and tell them, look, I'm going through this, I need help. So they sit down and assess you and find which stage you are in. And then they could link you quickly to a mental health doctor, or even consider admission if you're really, really in a bad state. I don't know if I've answered the question.
Yes, you've certainly done. Thank you, Sebo. To you watching us, Dr. Altaya, the man we are talking about, has about 2 decades of experience, if I'm not mistaken, Sebo, in this field. So, yes, feel comfortable to drop your question or concerns in this line. When you get such people who have offered their time and knowledge, use them. Maybe you can as well find time after. Okay, there is a question here. When should one seek help? And wait a bit. Okay, Rizik Topaz is wondering when one should seek help. Is it when it has gotten far? Is one capable of seeking help? Let me read it as it is here. I wanted to paraphrase. When should one seek help? When it has gotten far, is one capable of seeking help? I hope it's understandable.
Okay. Yeah. So in mental health, by far, that is a kind of subjective perception, Far for someone might be short for someone else, So by far, do you mean you can't function anymore? Or by far, do you mean you can still function, but you feel you need more help? In mental health, if, for example, let me give you a very easy one. You find yourself depressed, you're feeling low in mood because of something, and you don't feel like eating, you don't feel like working. Once things like that start happening in your life where you can't work, it means you have passed now the safe zone. We are now lingering in a zone which is really, really unsafe. And if you let it go on, you can end up in more serious problems. Now,
yeah, Dr. Alda, if I may just chip in here, to make more clarity on her question, she adds that far, as you mentioned, when you are not capable to sleep and cannot function well.
Okay.
I think that's what she meant by far. Yeah.
So if you can't function, once you can't function, that means the illness has got grip of you now. You need help. You can't wait now. You have to go in and find help, either through your GPs, as I say, or through crisis teams, if you are really, really in a very bad state. Don't wait for things to get worse, because with mental health, if you keep lingering without help, you're likely to prolong your suffering. And there are 2 ways. You can end up recovering after that long suffering, or you can end up being severely ill and be admitted in a hospital. So the earlier you get help, the better. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Sebo. There is a common saying, it's usually to inspire people to be more positive or live more healthier mentally.
Yeah.
People often say that people have a structured schedule of when to train their muscles, the popular six packs, ladies wanting to have these slender small bodies. And people always ask that, when do you often refresh or train your mind? I mean, trying to challenge that we have so much time to work on the outside, but the inside, how often do we do that? I guess some people technically would understand the depth of that question or that appeal, but maybe to a layman like me, I may not understand, okay, training my mind, how? I would also want to believe that as we talk of training our mind, maybe also curbing mental illnesses. I mean, would you help shed a light on that? Training the mind, is it, does it relate with mental illness? And if so, how can this be done more practically?
Okay. So training mind and training the body are actually interlinked. Whenever you train your body and you do exercises, you're actually helping your mind as well. So those two can't be separated. They're totally linked. Now, you can train your mind. I mean, you can train your body, but stay negatively thinking, and that could be from your childhood. You brought up in a way that you end up always thinking negatively about things. Maybe your parenting, your parents were quite not supportive in a way, trying to demoralize you, and that has created a personality where you see the world on the negative side. If I had 2 glasses here and I put in water, someone will say the glass is half full, and the other one will say the glass is half empty. So who here is pessimistic and who is negatively thinking, optimistic? That's the perception. Once you see something as half full, then you are thinking of filling it up, while the one seeing it half empty thinks of emptying it now. And on a daily basis, as you meet people, you're interacting and all that, you're having a lot of thoughts created in your mind, and some of them are perceived as negative, some of them are perceived as positive. Now, the trick is to turn everything negative into positive somehow. And that's part of learning, okay? You've seen someone, a friend of yours, pass by. Every day he says hi to you. But today you're on your desk and he passes, doesn't say anything. And the first thing you think, oh, what did I do today? I've not said anything today. And then you start building. Maybe he thinks I backbited on him or told something about him. Maybe he doesn't like my new car. People like that, Maybe, I think the last time we were together, I didn't appear helpful to him. He must be hating me. You are here now building negative thoughts all along, but those negative thoughts are actually not helping you, because what's happening is you are becoming sad in yourself that someone who is close to you is now becoming your enemy. And if you could look and go and ask that person, you find out that they were thinking about something else, and unfortunately they passed you without saying hi. But there was nothing else there, but you've created a world of negative thoughts, and it's pulling you down. Okay. Those are simple examples. Other examples are people have had divorces and all that, and they don't let go of that. They keep all those negative thoughts about those people who they've divorced from. They don't move on. That negative thinking impacts on your well-being and mental health, and it will eventually catch up with you and will affect you, and you become depressed eventually, or become anxious or whatever. So if you want to live and survive in this world, obviously we have our dependence on our beliefs in God, and that's, if you look at the way we are taught religiously, it's positive, because we are looking for that energy there to give us hope, to give us that positive thinking about life. If you have enemies, try to love them. That is positive, and it helps. So in the same way, try to think positive in real life. Make people around you happy. Don't make them sad. And that will give you happiness as well. So it's more it's more, how do they say? Forgotten the phrase, but it's better to give than to receive or get, because if you give, you're actually creating a happiness in yourself.
Exactly.
And a fulfillment. Yeah. I hope I've tried to answer that.
Yes, thank you, Sevo. And also to add something on that giving aspect, I personally believe that as we give, we are actually, it's in a way kind of selfish. I mean, you benefit more from the giving than the person you give. There is that happiness and satisfaction that comes with it.
Yeah.
And of course, I've also had an experience about a decade ago while living in Uganda, where we had a couple of trainings where we trained people to make laundry products. And one time we had an experience where someone we had trained 6 months ago was the very person who had kind of improved the formulation we were using, and actually had a better formulation for making detergents. So
Right.
this, stuck with me, that I always tell a story about this, that we learned from someone we taught. So that giving aspect, sometimes it's more like throwing a ball against the wall, that it comes back to you. Yes, but away from that, you watching us, I want to send greetings to you all. Special greetings to you. I'm seeing here dropping introductions and comments. And a more special greeting to you, sweetie baby. I see you're tagging so many people here. That is really a plus. You're actually supporting this program by so doing. Thank you so much. So, Doctor,
Yes.
we often have these loose, joking phrases in our local language, Luganda. Yes, we see very many people battling mental illnesses, battling illnesses we actually don't know what they are. Abantu abagwa eddalu, abalaluka. So, in my, closed-in thinking, would I attribute someone who has gone mad to a permanent mental illness or something? Help me understand that.
Someone who has gone mad.
Is that a permanent mental illness or something?
Yeah. Okay, so it depends what mental illness they have, okay? If you have people like back home You see mad people not dressed, walking naked, with unkempt hair. They're dirty. They're shouting. I think, is that the madness you're talking about?
I actually, just to be very precise, the word madness to me is an English term. The technicalities behind the word, actually, I don't know. Just help me understand if madness has even categories. I barely know what it really means. Just simply say he's mad, but I actually don't know the technical meaning of it.
Yeah, so back home, anyone who has mental illnesses and is not functioning, can't really function in the community, is treated as mad, But that word is outdated here in Europe. It used to be used in those ancient days. There used to be hospitals for mad people, but now it's really mental health disorders. And calling people mad is like stigmatizing them right now. So it is discouraged here because it's a broad word. Who is mad? Someone can appear weird and awkward, but actually is not mad, and that is his personality. Accordingly, you can say he's mad. The way he's presenting. So it's a broad word. But if we are to narrow it now to what we call disorders, like schizophrenia. If somebody has schizophrenia, by schizophrenia, I mean they are hallucinating, they're hearing voices, saying things which are not there, and they feel these things are real to them. It's like people are talking to them and the people are there, but there's no one, These are serious disorders which, unless they are caused by drugs, are likely not to go away. So if you see a madman talking to themselves, it's as if someone is talking to them and they're answering. Most probably they have schizophrenia. Now, if someone has schizophrenia, that's a lifetime disorder. There's no cure for schizophrenia. You can contain the symptoms, the hearing of voices, and bring them down and give that person some relief, but the illness will always be there. And if you stop the medication, it flares up again. So there are disorders in mental health which we know we can't cure, disorders like bipolar affective disorder. They used to call it mania. So actually mania, manic, mad was linked to mania, whereby someone is manic, shouting and, very hyper, they can run around all day. They're not eating, they're not sleeping, they're just too hyperactive, So these kind of people, once you have those kind of illnesses, they are for life, You can't treat them because there's no medication to cure them. That's the real fact. Yeah, if it was there, we would have people off medication, but most of them, they actually, up to the end of their lives, they take this medication. I have a churchgoer, a friend of mine, who unfortunately has suffered with this illness, schizophrenia, for all her life, But she had some breaks in between, and we were hoping that, well, life would get back to normal and sure, but when COVID came, it all flared up again, and now she's back in hospital. So it's quite quite discouraging or frustrating in a way. But the good thing is there's medication which can keep you going, although it is there for good. But there's medication which can keep you going and you still with the illness but function. I hope I've answered the question.
Yes, thank you so much, Doctor. And you watching us on Facebook, you do us a great service. As we wind up, we shall have the last bit where we shall pick it from an experienced voice on those mental illnesses that we should be very aware of as immigrants. And also we shall be glad to hear from the doctor about, I mean, are there those mental illnesses we can try to avoid or try to work around such that we can either make a U-turn or if need be, try to work within acceptable limits such that we don't go that zone. But in case they so happen, maybe we shall also get the package of what to do before it goes worse. But before that, I want to encourage us that as we come here every other Sunday to share on diverse topics, find your niche or find your common core interest in these topics. There should be something that rhymes well with you. Mental illness could be a boring topic to you, but there could be maybe entertainment, there could be something about business. But all these have one common hub when it comes to immigrants, that they, in a way or the other, uplift you, keep you afloat, keep you positive, or keep you going. So find something. So we bring these topics, understanding and acknowledging that people are different, we have different interests, but somewhere, somehow, all these topics we bring here, they have a common aspect, is that they are tapping into our community as immigrants. So this one, as we wind up, I would love to get it from the doctor. There are three aspects, doctor, about grief. I mean, grieving is one word that cuts across all humans. But immigrants, we have an extra challenge that from personal experience, I've lost my grandmom, who I grew up with as a mom, and never got a chance to bury her. I mean, that process where you're in the diaspora all alone, you might have friends, but maybe they're not tight enough or close enough to hold you up or to give you a shoulder to cry on. So the grieving aspect for us immigrants becomes something different with an X factor. Doctor, speaking from experience, when it comes to grieving, merging it with mental illness, yes, how would you encourage us when such uncertainties befall us? How could we keep afloat, knowing that I have a mom, I have a beloved one, far away, I cannot even attend the burial ceremony, but again, I have to work because the environments, the societies where we are, they don't grieve as we do. You may lose someone, you will be lucky enough to get permission from work, but again, there are also chances that you may not. So something around there, from your experience, share with us, Sebo.
Yeah, grief is a very serious experience, which most of us eventually is unavoidable. At one point of time, someone in your family is going to pass away and you have to grieve. So I know back home, they talk about men not grieving and all that, but that's actually becoming out of fashion. Men are starting to grieve and shed tears. And that's the way it should be. If you don't let the emotions come out, you're harboring a lot of pain in yourself. That's going to come out somehow. As you saw the previous lady I talked about, it came out as paralysis. Some might come out as stomach pain, or it might come out as blindness. whenever you store the emotions in your, and you don't allow to talk about things, then this is what happens. The body tends to protect you in this way by releasing them through other means, in order for you to cope with the losses. But grieving is a very interesting, because the first time when you grieve, the first thing that hits you is numbness, okay? Disbelief. You are in denial, that this has happened in the first place. You can't believe, wow, how could it happen? These are the questions you ask yourself. That's the first phase you go in. Then you go into a phase of guilt. And you think you are the one who has caused this. Maybe if you were there, maybe if you had given a call, maybe if you had advised, maybe somehow you start feeling guilty about this, okay? There's then become a phase where you now become angry. Angry that why could this have happened? You become angry towards God, you become angry towards the doctors, you become angry towards everyone. These are the phases we go in as you're grieving, and these are normal phases of grieving. Some of them take short, some of them take longer, but we have to go through them. If you don't go through this, you get stuck. If you get stuck, and that's where you end up with illnesses, coming up. So don't fight them, just go through them, because that's the nature of grieving. And then at the end, if you can't get through this swiftly, if you continue with guilt, if you continue with feeling angry, you continue with denials and all that, you go into a state of depression, okay? And this is where it becomes tricky, because obviously all of us, when we lose, we are sorrowful, so we become low in mood. And when you get in this kind of states, you start withdrawing. Okay, you withdraw from people. You don't want people coming in, talking to you. You want to be alone. You want to tackle this, loss on your own. And this is actually not helpful, because if you know, back home, when someone dies, there is olumbe. These things, when they're done with, we thought they're just for, for formality and all that, but they have a reason behind them, because they bring us together so that we can talk about the life of the lost one. Just talking about him is part of the grief therapy. You are not alone. You're talking with people. We have vigils before burial. Again, you're talking with people, So the fact that you are isolated and you are on your own in this, part of the world, and you're not sharing, it's not helpful. You have to reach, you don't have to reach out, but try to see that you are in a kind of network where you are talking. It's not easy with the family members. I know myself, for one, when I lost my mom, I thought we could meet together as a family and try to, talk about things about our mom and all that. And it was difficult for some people to do that after our mom had passed. But to me, that was part of really helping ourselves, come to terms with the loss, rather than keeping it a taboo and not talking about it and not thinking about it, And I find it helpful whenever from time to time I bring up any past, funny things mommy did, in our conversations, and have some flashbacks and laugh, and that's part of therapy. So it helps. And staying alone is not good. Try to stay in a network of people who are going to, because what is happening is people are also going to think, oh, I shouldn't disturb him, he's going through grieving now. And they're actually also cutting off. So if you're cutting off, they're also cutting off. So eventually you will stay alone with this, problem. But if you stay connected, then the grieving becomes less problematic. But you get out of it eventually. I hope I've tried to explain.
No, actually, you haven't only tried. I asked for a fruit, but you gave me a whole tree. I love the build up you use while addressing questions. And also to give you positive feedback from the previous show we had. We have a mentor from he's a lecturer living in Georgia. He's called Fred Cassidy. He watched our previous show from start to the end, and his comments were that the way your guests responded to questions, the way he gave you time to interject, chip in from time to time, speaks a lot about him as a doctor. He must be really a very good doctor. Because one aspect about your profession is being a good listener. So I think you need to get that feedback.
Thank you. Thank you to hear that.
Yes. I want to thank you all watching us. We are soon winding up. I also must say that I've become several words richer today. But amongst those, there is a term grief therapy. Orumbe meaning grief therapy. Actually, as you spoke, I was connecting through, and I totally agree with you on this. We recently had a talk. I was somewhere in one of the cities here, Trondheim, where we had a random talk about the same. And as you piece up these experiences, events happening around Orumbe, I totally agree with you. And I feel that's what I personally went through when I lost my granny, who I grew up with as a mom. Growing up, and even to date, I don't know, for some reason, I think I've either earned or painted an image that Moses is strong. Mm. And I don't know for some reason if I also live by it, but for some reason it happens. Mm. I was asked during that time by my colleagues at work if we could meet for a coffee, and we talk about those good memories about my granny, which I said no. And I told them that I feel comfortable not talking about this. I feel I would heal faster if I don't talk about it. Indeed, we didn't. But after some time, I realized that exactly what we're talking about. I realized that that was the wrong time. I wasn't actually strong as I thought I was. Mm-hmm. So I learned the hard way that just as you're putting it, that we often need to speak about these things when they happen. I mean, nobody is strong enough when it comes to losing a loved one. No. I was able to thank you so much for that, putting it across, and also justifying a few aspects. Also mentioning about grief, I've noted aspects here where you've broken down stages of grief. I think I'll bring them up again as we wind up. One last bit as we wind up. Immigrants is our focus today. Yeah. We have different angles in which we penetrate Europe, majorly Europe, because that's where we have to seek residence, apply, send in an application, wait, take time before an answer is gotten. I've talked to a couple of friends here where my appeal and piece of advice is always, as you wait, remember your dreams from before. I mean, don't let that person die as you keep waiting. There is a life beyond the borders of Norway, but these are only mere words. I would love to request, using your expert knowledge as a psychiatric expert, that immigrants have a challenge where we are left helpless as we wait for responses to our residence application, permit applications, as we wait for responses to our job applications, as we start right from scratch, where you've broken down all the pieces of your professional career and you have to start like a little baby. We mentioned them all, but the whole point is we start from scratch. The lucky ones just carry on running careers and visions, but the majority have to start from scratch. Merging this with mental illness, speaking to an immigrant out there who is having a lot running, waiting for an answer that is not coming, almost losing his mind. How would you piece up a soft piece of advice to a Mugisha out there?
Yeah, my advice is not easy. We have, as you saw in the last presentation, we had pre-immigration, immigration, and post-immigration. Those three time differences, each one coming with its own challenge. You know, you're like still in a limbo, not knowing what is going to come out. Then you get the immigration status. There are also issues which you need to overcome, and then after immigration, when you are settled and everything, there are also its own challenges. But if we were to focus on pre-immigration, we are waiting for papers, and it's a very stressful time because you don't know what is ahead of you, and you're seated anxious all day, imagining things. You know, you are illegal in the country. You know, anytime the police could come and take you. You know, you're on your toes, basically, and you won't sleep. You won't feel comfortable. So I understand the way these people who come through this way feel. And I've come across some of them who have turned to, you know, street drugs to cope with it. They've decided to take drugs like cannabis or cocaine or heroin just to have that peace in their mind, you know, a moment of peace, you know, tranquility. The problem with doing that is you have that for a while. There's 1 hour, 2 hours, and then everything flares up again. So you're not solving any problem. Rather, you are creating more problems. I remember a young man I saw who had started taking cannabis and ended up psychotic, totally psychotic. You know, I assessed him in hospital, and he was a young man. He was actually studying architecture, and he had a lot of anxiety around his future because things were not easy. You know, the exams were hard. Life wasn't smooth as he had expected to come in Europe. He was lonely. He didn't manage to pair up with peers. So he drifted, and then he ended up getting into cannabis. And you see, when people give you cannabis, they say it's not dangerous. You can just one of the, but it is if you have an underlying risk of psychosis. For example, if you have schizophrenia in your family, and you start taking cannabis, you're likely to end up with psychotic symptoms. And this is what happened. This chap ended up with psychosis. And even up to now, he's on medication. He's out of his university. He can't study anymore because the illness has affected him. So this is the reality of what we go through when we are waiting. The thing I would like to, everyone to go with is to be hopeful. If you've come and you have a genuine reason, you've applied for immigration, and just stay positive that things will come out properly. Don't reach out for things which are going to worsen things. There will be anxiety, obviously anxious, but try to understand that this is the way things are going to go. There's going to be a period of anxiety. Anxiety is not actually a bad thing. Anxiety is a good thing in life because once you go through it, you come out stronger. The problem is, as I told you in the last presentation, is if you cross a line. Once you cross that line of anxiety where you are now not functioning, that's where you will need now help. But if you're in an anxious state, which you can manage and move on and stay away from all street drugs, you are likely to, reach where you are. We are all in this state. We are not different. We all came here, started from zero, and knowing nothing about our future, but slowly we are here and working, and we are respectable and helping the community here. So eventually you get there. That's all I can say. If you stay positive and focused, don't try to reach out for things which are not going to help you. You'll get there. I hope I've touched what you asked.
Yes, you already raised the bar too high, so I always apply for. Okay, so I just had a few. So I always come to you asking for a kilo of sugar. You give me 25 kilo sack. Yes, thank you so much, Sebo. For this show, I've been quite privileged to have a guest and a participant in the WhatsApp group. There have been a couple of comments, but the most comments have come from Rizik Topaz. She's one of the Ugandans living in Norway. Something about her, she has worked not directly with mental health, but she has worked with immigrants for quite some time. Her spot of work is more with social work, where she has diverse experience on immigrants and those things we have to be oops for. Aspects where we have to be keen and open-minded as we sail through a life as immigrants. So it's been a special show. We have had a guest, we have had an engagement, a verbal engagement, but also had a participant who has been very engaged in the comment section. Thank you so much, Rizik, for sharing knowledge. Thank you for sparing time to watch these shows and interact and share your opinions. From those, we learn a lot. So, Dr. Altaya, statistics. Okay, there is a correction here. I have worked more with mental health. I still work in the district psychiatry. Okay, actually that bit I didn't know. Thank you for that correction. That also adds more weight to this, that I've had two chats, or verbal one and a written one. Thank you so much, Rizik. As we wind up, statistics show that 1 out of 3 women, that is a percentage of about 33%, and 1 out of 5 men, a percentage of 20%, battle depression, or that same umbrella of mental illness. In case my source was credible enough to give me correct statistics, why do you think causes this huge gap? 20% for men, 33% for women.
There's no clear explanation for why women are more depressed than men, but we can just try and look at the lifestyles of women and what they go through. If you look at the women from the time they are born to the time they're childbearing, and then they become mothers, then they become grandparents, they actually go through quite a lot compared to what we go through. Their bodies change so much, and the changes, the hormonal changes come with emotional changes and everything. So taking all that into account, they are more prone to emotional disorders than men, because not only because of who they are, but because of what goes on in their bodies. So you find that young girls growing up, they have issues with the way they look. I find that their whole life is complex. They want to look like others. We have role models in this world, like the Kardashians. Every girl wants to look like them, wants to have the same money, and all that. So they have created a world which has actually worked against women. So by the time they get to the reality of life, it hits them, and then they have childbearing, which is not an easy task to go in, being pregnant through 9 months and giving birth. You find that there is postnatal depression, many women with postnatal depression. So when you look at the whole lifestyle, you see the women are the ones feeding the babies, they're the ones really doing the hard part of our general life. Yes, men go to work, they bring the food and everything, make sure everyone has food on the table. But behind all that, the woman is, responsible, and they're holding. So if anything goes wrong in what they're doing, they're likely to, present with depressive symptoms. I hope I've tried to answer the question.
You've done so. Thank you so much. To me, I regard that response very credible. The fact that your two quotes in the medical world lands you well in that field. About women, you are a gyna, and talking about mental health, of course, depression and the like. Thank you so much. We shall hold it here for now. This is a very broad topic. This has been episode 2 of mental health awareness. There is so much. We shall always come with a couple of topics about the same. Dr. Ota, we shall always be privileged to have you back as a guest to share insights and create awareness about this very important topic. Yes, I thought of going into depth of the different mental illnesses and knowing which ones can cause permanent mental damage, which ones can be, but I think that would be in our episode 3. We shall wind up here for now and kindly request you to give your closing remarks.
Yeah. Oh, thank you very much for listening to us. it's always a pleasure to come and have a chat with you and yeah, share knowledge. Yeah, as I said, let's stay strong, let's support each other, stay in a network, don't live on your own. It helps us to survive in this world. As you know, back home, if you lived in a village, the whole village knew you, and you were a son for everyone. So everyone looked after you. Same we should do here. Let us look after ourselves. If you have any issues, don't stay quiet with it. Tell anyone who's close to you, share it, and that will ease things out. And you might get even help quicker. People know how to, get you help, rather than keeping quiet. So, as I said, there's things which affect us as immigrants, and we tend to keep them to ourselves, and we don't come out for help just because of the way we are brought up. Let's try to seek for help, if not wait too long for the help, because it might be too late by the time you get help. And so yeah, that's my advice. Let's keep together and help one another. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Otaya. Yes, you who has been with us all the way or joined in somewhere along the way, we want to put hands together for you. And thank you so much. You sparing time to watch, drop comments is a contribution in itself, an invisible one, but it's one we can never overlook. Dr. Otaya is a specialist in gynecology and psychiatry. He's based in the UK, in a city called Preston. He has both had experiences with immigrants and, of course, natives of the UK. We once hosted him here. He has again spared another 1.5 hours. So thank you so much. And the look on his eyes tells it all, that he promises to come back next time. I hope I'm not wrong about that.
No worries here.
Thank you so much in advance. Rizik Topaz, I didn't have you as one of my panelists, but you passionately availed yourself in the comment section to also share knowledge and supplements on what Dr. Otaya has been sharing. For that, I want to thank you so much. Sweet baby, I saw you tag so many people to make sure that people join in to watch. I know there may be those who have not watched live, but will come in after. Thank you so much for that input, and anyone else who will share this show after. But like I always say, but after watching it, I mean, have control that when someone asks you what you're sharing, you've already watched and you can defend a few aspects. So, Dr. Otaya, this is my take home. I don't know, you're watching us, what you've taken home, but I've also reflected within me and remember that I probably went through this as I was briefing the death of my grandmom, where I found out that, where you've indicated that there was denial. Somewhere I may have gone through guilt, blaming everyone around me apart from myself. Maybe there was anger, and by the help of God, I managed to calm this wave down. Thank you for having those breakdowns. Maybe someone out there, when you're going through this, you realize that what you're going through is natural. Like you've indicated that sometimes we attach Kuroga on these mental illnesses. And also I've taken home that Orumbe, we can literally say in English that it's a grief therapy. Yes, and another bit was when you gave a case of that girl who suffered denial, I should put it that way. And there was a disorder that is called what is it? Dissociative disorder. Dissociative disorder.
Yeah.
Yes. In my precise language, I've tagged it as from mental to physical. Would I be right to put it that way?
Yeah, absolutely.
That there are mental disorders that start from within and end up crippling your body or something.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yes, I'm glad to get assessment here and now that I'm a good student. And then
Very
last one, last one, as you commented on that statistics about why women are more depressed than men. Yes, I understood that you attributed it to lifestyle. Maybe also echoing a message to us that maybe there are things that we don't have control over, but those we have control over, like us immigrants, when waiting for responses, that taking it easy, remembering that there is a tomorrow after that today that is stressing you. We can't put it any better than what Dr. Altaya has done, but only to thank you, Dr. Altaya, for your precious time and knowledge. And to lastly, thank you all viewers and the Euroforum team. Special thanks goes to you, my fellow hosts. Samantha Elf in Finland, Smoji John Remy in Denmark, Jorin Nassali in Sweden. Together we do something that for which we shall be remembered. Gibson Omuhumuza in Uganda, thank you for being part of the team. Thumbs up to you, Euroforum WhatsApp group members. You do great. Together, we shall make a difference. Thank you so much. We sign out for now. Keep tuned.
Thank you very much. Have a good